all my fellow Redskin brethren and sister. It's news that's nightly about the Redskins. Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louis T. Thank you for joining me. I want to do a continuation of what we did yesterday. We had technical difficulties yesterday. I apologize for that. I think some of that was on my end. The weather wasn't the greatest, but I think some of that was on my end with the stream setup itself. Nonetheless, we didn't get to all of the callers. I didn't do a good enough job of cycling through callers. I didn't do a good enough job of setting the table. I didn't have my the phone number on the screen visible for you guys. It was a mess yesterday, so I apologize for that. But we did get some callers in. It was good stuff. It was kind of therapy for some of us Redskins fans. I want to kind of continue with that. We had a nice call from my man, Likely Phenomenon, who gave us an outside perspective, although a lot of us really didn't see where he was coming from. We appreciate the sympathy, but as a Redskin fan, it's such a unique situation that we're in. Again, we're one of the worst franchises, not just in the NFL, not just in America. We're one of the worst ran franchises in all of sports, in all of the country, in all of the world. I mean, when you look at the worst run businesses, and there was a list, there was a actual poll done. I think it was like a year ago, where it said the worst companies, the top five worst companies in America. And I think the Redskins were number 5 on that list. So, I mean, it's not just in the NFL. We're a bad run organization globally. I mean, we're a bad outfit. So I don't think LP truly understands that dynamic there, but that's nor here nor there. I appreciate him chiming in, and he's been a staunch supporter of the show and the movement. And so there are so many things that I want to talk about. And before I open up the phone lines and allow you guys to have the platform, I didn't do this yesterday. Kind of wanted you guys to fill in all the gaps. I'm going to give you my assessment of the 2 press conferences from Monday. Also, Bill Callahan spoke today after his first practice as interim head coach. I'll give you my thoughts on what was said today. There were changes at practice. I'll kind of highlight a few of those. And then we'll open up the phone lines and, kind of have a continuation of what was said yesterday and kind of start moving forward as well. And whatever you guys want to talk about, I'm here for it. So with that being said, I'm going to give you my thoughts on the Bruce Allen press conference quickly. It's not going to be much because he did what I expected him to do outside of actually taking and fielding questions, which I thought was up in the air. You know, anytime Bruce Allen steps to the podium, you're never sure if he's going to actually field questions or not. But he did take questions, so that was a bit of a surprise for me because I wasn't 100% sure. Remember, I said to you guys, not even 100% sure he's going to take questions. Well, he did, but the answers were dissatisfactory, as we expected. As I said, Jedi mind trick bullshit, as always, from Bruce Allen. Some of the answers were just cringeworthy. I mean, it's the same thing we're accustomed to. Remember, I had that one video where I broke down Bruce's presser out at Mobile at the Senior Bowl when he was talking about we're close and that we've been one game out of the playoffs the last 2 years. No, we haven't, Bruce. We haven't even been close to the playoffs the last 2 years. Stop trying to talk to us as if we're buffoons. Then this year, he's talking about a damn good culture here in Washington. What? What are you talking about? I told you I can't stand the use of we when we're asking you a question. We're not talking about Kyle Smith's record as Redskins a scout of pro scout or college scouting. We're not talking about Doug Williams's record as VP of personnel. We're talking about your record, which is now 59-92-1 since you got here in December of 2014. We're talking about your record, okay? Or was it 2013? It was December of 2013. We're not talking about anybody else's record. So I don't want to hear we haven't done a good job. We're talking about your ass. So, that's what Bruce does. Tap dances around questions. They said, how do you get the culture better here? You win. How do you win? By winning ball games. Like, what are you talking about, guy? Just shut up. So I really don't have anything to say. And the part that's frustrating me even more so with Bruce is that with the more he speaks, the more you get angry and the more you realize it's not going to change and he isn't going anywhere. Like, if you're a Redskins fan and you watch that Bruce Allen presser, how can you not come away from that thinking, oh my God, this guy is in even deeper than before. It's like quicksand with Bruce Allen. The more he speaks, the more bullshit he puts us through, the deeper we get into it and the more entrenched he is in this organization. Like, he got more power when he fired Brian LaFemina last year, where he convinced Dan that Brian LaFemina was the devil and that he was too transparent and he was telling all of the Redskins deep, dirty, dark secrets that you're not selling out crowds and that we got a bunch of tickets available. And he didn't like all of that, so he told Bruce or Dan, hey, this guy's toxic and he's telling all of our business and he's making us look bad. No, you already look bad. And he was being transparent and he was trying to help connect you with the fans and make you guys a little bit more humanized. But that failed miserably because Bruce got in Dan's ear, got him to fire him, and then got Dan to give him control of that. So it's just amazing when you listen to him talk. I thought the most pivotal question, it wasn't all the bullshit that he said, because we know that's what Bruce does, okay? That we're close and that we were 6-3 last year with Alex Smith. Shut up, okay? Shut the hell up. But you know what was the most damning piece of audio from that presser of Bruce Allen's on Monday? Was when the reporter asked him, and I want to say it was Michael Phillips of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, but it was one of those reporters asking him, when are we going to hear from Bruce? When are we going to hear from Bruce? And he said, no, you're hearing from me. And then he said, well, Dan makes himself available from time to time. Shut up. No, he doesn't. Stop lying, okay? Stop lying to us. We're not dumb. We don't have dummy written over our forehead. This is not 1985. I keep telling Bruce Allen's dumbass this. This is not 85, where we're getting all of our news from a newspaper, or we got to sit in front of the television for that 5-minute sports segment on our local news station. Like, this isn't 1985, bruh. We get every single piece of information that comes out of Redskins Park immediately as it happens. You can't lie to us, bruh. We follow this team way too close. Yeah, Dan hasn't done a public appearance or a one-on-one sit-down in like 5 or 6 years. All right? In any of it, that's irrelevant. What that little piece of audio said to me is that he's Dan's right-hand man, and as we've always said, Dan relies on Bruce to take the pressure off of him. Dan loves the fact that he's got someone else out here as his shield. He feels like, I'm not public enemy number one anymore. It's Bruce that's public enemy number one. And he's taking pressure off of me. And I don't have to step in front of the mic. And I don't have to do public appearances. And when we go to these league meetings, I don't have to stand up on behalf of the Washington Redskins. Bruce can do that. I've got someone that can be the face of this franchise and allow me to stay in the background where I'm much more comfortable handling business. And so what that tells me is that Bruce isn't going anywhere. For those of you that think that Bruce is going anywhere, I don't care how bad it gets. The only way Bruce is out is if Bruce decides he's done himself. So I've come to grips and resigned to that fact. And that makes the Jay Gruden firing even that much more irrelevant, because nothing's going to change if those two buffoons are still at the top running the show. So it's unfortunate that Jay was a casualty of this whole situation. I already said Jay's not a great head coach. And I'm not going to lie to you, listening to Bill Callahan, it was refreshing. Not that I really give a damn, but it was refreshing to hear a different voice and to see actual changes being put in place and not just hearing coach speak. Because I told you a lot of what Jay was saying was starting to fall on deaf ears because we've heard it before, which is the same thing with Bruce Allen. All of the things that he said at the presser, they fall on deaf ears. First of all, you don't believe anything he says because the guy's a habitual liar. He's a habitual liar, and so nothing that comes out of his mouth you assume is the truth. That's number one. Number two, it was funny that there were so many different articles pretty much putting up the 2014 Bruce Allen presser after Mike Shanahan was ousted and in came Jay Gruden, and the presser from yesterday or Monday. And the similarities were eerie. And that goes to show you he's just regurgitating things he said in the past. He's just saying it in different ways. He's talking in circles. And there are some Redskins fans that are delusional enough to be on every single word of that comes out of this man's mouth and believe him unbelievably. I don't understand how, but like I said, it was refreshing to hear from Bill Callahan. It was refreshing to hear from him today and see some of the changes that he made at practice. Honestly, though, we're still 0-5. And Bruce said we still can accomplish all of our goals this year. Well, what were your goals then, Bruce? Was your goal to go 9-7? Was that your goal? Was your goal to go 8-8? Was your goal to secure a top 10 pick in the draft? Those goals are still within reach. All right? But if your goal was to win double-digit games, win the division, win a playoff game, win a Super Bowl, if you actually had real aspirations that most NFL franchises have, those goals are long gone at 0-5. So, again, I'm not going to continue to harp on those things because we know what this is. But listening to Bill Callahan, the biggest takeaway for me was two things, actually. So I won't say the biggest. The two biggest takeaways, one, Dwayne Haskins isn't starting, which is a little disappointing. And two, he actually is going to go out of his way to try to get him reps in practice, to get him in a position where they feel like he's ready to play. I can respect that. While on one hand, I'm really disappointed in the fact that he's not starting. And that was the reason I wanted Jay gone. I said, if you're not going to start Haskins, then Jay could have stayed. Well, we'll see what happens. And you know, it's amazing that he's talking about this run game nonsense and this, that, and the third. And he talked about it more today, and we'll get into that. But here in a second. But you know, at his original presser, he said, you know, he wants to establish more of a ground attack. He wants to be more consistent running the football. And you know, today he expounded upon that after practice, pretty much saying, hey, look. I was in a really good situation with the Jets, with Rex Ryan, where we ran the football really effectively. And he said the thing that I learned from Rex, it wasn't necessarily rush yards per attempt, but it was just the amount of attempts, just continuing to be consistent running the football. That sounds really good. And I know guys like Redskins Review, who I love, who's my guy, I know he was over there, had a hard on listening to that stuff. But this is not 1995. You don't win football games running the ball 40 times. Yep, the Indianapolis Colts beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Why? Because they ran the football down their throats and controlled time of possession. But you know what else they actually did in that football game that we haven't been able to do? Play outstanding defense. Those two things are complementary. You can't do one without the other. You can play exceptional defense, and if you keep running the football and you don't get anything, you're still going to lose the goddamn football game. And vice versa. You can run the hell out of the football. But guess what? If you're settling for field goals and the other team is able to go up and down the field like a damn NASCAR track on your damn defense and they're scoring touchdowns, you're still going to lose the goddamn game. And, oh, by the way, you have to be exceptional at running the football, like the Colts were on Sunday night versus the Chiefs on the road. You got to be exceptional like the Cowboys were back in 2014 when they took the air out of the ball, allowed DeMarco Murray to rack up over 1,800 yards rushing behind a dominant offensive line and kept what was a porous Cowboys defense off the field by controlling time of possession. Does anything that you see in Washington resemble an offensive line and an offensive unit that can line up and on 3rd and 2 when you know it's coming and you know it's coming right at you, still get 5 yards on a rush play? Does anything about this team look remotely close to that? You tell me, because I haven't seen an offensive line that looks like they enjoy blowing up people off the line of scrimmage and off the ball. All right, and furthermore, we've got a banged up offensive line that's missing its best player. So, in case Bill Callahan hasn't been here for the first 5 weeks, you can't change an entire run scheme. And if his run scheme looks anything like Jay's, which I'm assuming they're one and the same because Jay was pretty much allowing Bill Callahan to control the run scheme. If it looks anything like Jay's run scheme, then this shit is going to fail epically, and all you're going to do is run the offense into the ground even worse because you're going to run it on first down, run it on second down, which is what Jay did too. It's amazing, this narrative that Jay didn't run the football enough. You know, the people that continuously would talk about, oh, Jay needed to stick to the run. You want to run on 2nd and 20? You want to run on 1st and 17? You want to run on 2nd and 9? You want to run on 2nd and 11? Because that's what we were in. Whether it was a holding penalty on 1st down, a holding penalty on 2nd down, or a run. I would criticize Jay when he would continue to run the damn football into a brick wall. Our run offense is horrible. And you want to run it more? Why? Do you think you're going to come in and it's going to get that much better to the point where we're running the football successively enough to where the defense isn't on the field and we're controlling time and possession? We're all of a sudden just going to morph into this ground and pound football team? What planet are you on? So, miss me with all of that. But I'll take it a step further. I was excited to hear him say Dwayne's going to get reps. I wasn't excited to hear him say Dwayne may be inactive and Dwayne may not start until next season. Like, whoa. What are we doing right now? Get this man ready and get him in the damn game. All right? So, as a Redskins fan, I'm really upset about that. But there were changes at practice. There was a 10-minute period at the very end where it was pretty much designed for young guys, a.k.a. Dwayne Haskins, to get reps and get opportunities to actually perform in practice so that you can try to get him up to speed where you can put in some packages and some things for him to be able to do. He talked at the podium today, said that almost all the quarterbacks took equal reps in practice today. So that's something else that they're doing. He had referees. He had 2 officials at practice. They're 2 college football officials, but they're guys that are hopefuls that hope to eventually be NFL officials. And he actually contacted the league, had the league provide him with 2 local officials that are on track to be NFL officials down the line, and had them at practice to try to help alleviate some of the penalties that we've had. He also had a better tempo. He changed the stretching. So at least he's making attempts to try to do things differently. We'll see if it works. And yeah, it's fun to talk about running a football when we're about to face the worst rush defense in the league. That sounds great. Try me next week when you're playing against a much better defense in San Francisco, or the week after that when you're going up against Minnesota, or the week after that when you're going up against Buffalo. Then talk to me about running the football. Because even if we run for 200 yards this week, I'm not buying that the rush offense is fixed. The Dolphins stink against the run. Come talk to me when you're playing a real defense. So, and I'll say this, and then I'll open up the phone lines for you guys. If Dwayne's not playing after the Minnesota game, that's in 2 weeks, or we got the Dolphins this week, then we follow that up with a home game versus the 49ers, and then it's a quick turnaround, short week, Thursday night football at Minnesota. To me, that is the final game without Dwayne Haskins, because then you have an entire 10-day layoff between your next contest the following Sunday on the road at Buffalo. I get it. Granted, probably the worst defense you could line Dwayne up against this season, but at some point you got to take the bubble wrap off of this kid, and you got to throw him out there and you got to say, hey, go and figure it out. And you know what's so ironic is that today Callahan said that the Giants game was invaluable experience for Dwayne, and they sat down and they had a discussion on how much he learned in that game. Well, if it was invaluable experience and he learned so much, as you just said, he learned so much playing against the Giants, why the hell isn't he playing this week versus the Dolphins, and next week versus the 49ers, and the week after that versus the Vikings, and so forth and so forth? If it's so much experience, which is what we've been saying, why the hell is he not playing? It just doesn't make any sense. But I digress. If you're getting him ready, and if you feel like this path that you're on with him getting reps in practice is preparing him to start moving forward, then I can get behind that. I can get on board with that. And so I'm going to take a step back, exhale, even though I'm pissed off that he's not starting this week. But I'm telling you right now, if he doesn't start after that Minnesota game on the road at Buffalo, I'm going to be one pretty pissed off Redskins fan, and you're going to know about it. All right? You're going to know about it, because I'm going to come up here and I'm going to vent, I'm going to rant, and I'm going to be pretty pissed off because they're not. And look, again, I could be totally wrong here. And everything that they're doing, all these measures and steps that they're taking, could be the right thing, and I could be wrong. And I will tell you if I'm wrong, if this works, and they don't play him until after the bye week, which is like week 11, and they come back on after the bye, and they start Dwayne from that point forward, and he goes on and has a hell of a 5-game stretch to finish up the season, 6 games, whatever it is. And then next year he starts hit the ground running and starts really well, and it worked, and that was the right way to go about it, then I will come here and I will tell you guys, damn, I was flat out wrong. God damn it, I got it wrong. They were right. But I'm just telling you, there's no right or wrong way to do this. My thing is just get the man experience. The more, the merrier. You know, you're not going to figure out what this guy is if you don't put him in the game. And I'm not one of these people that think you need to draft a quarterback next year. I don't give a damn. If we got the number one pick in the draft, I want to do one or two things with it. Either Chase Young out of Ohio State, or I want to trade back and absolutely rape somebody. No Vaseline. I'm talking about sodomize somebody for that number one overall pick. Whomever, Miami, whomever is desperate enough to get the number one quarterback that they perceive in the draft, I am looking to absolutely bludgeon somebody to death over that pick. But other than that, I'm not looking to draft a quarterback. I'm not. We got a quarterback. Now, is he good? We don't know because they won't play him. And again, I don't think we'll know how good Dwayne Haskins is or isn't for at least 2 or 3 seasons. And I'm going to do a video on that because this whole narrative that you find out what Dwayne is and maybe we need to draft Tua or Herbert. And I think you guys are all talking about the wrong quarterback. I'm going to do a video on this too. Jordan Love is the guy you should be talking about. I told you that last draft season that this is a guy that's going to shoot to the top of the board, and if he's not the first quarterback taken, he'll be one of the first quarterbacks taken. You know, everyone wants to talk about from Herbert Tua. Stop omitting Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. I've said it once. I'll say it again. He's the guy that I think could be the true X factor in that entire conglomerate of quarterbacks. But I digress. Let's get to the phone lines. I've said enough. Want you guys to be able to say what you feel like you need to say. So the phone line is open for business. The number is on the screen. The phone lines have already been lit. I've seen people calling in. I'm not ignoring you. I just needed to get that off my chest and say what I needed to say. Now phone lines are officially open. Call in, and now the floor is yours. So with that being said, make sure you like the video, okay? There are 150 of you watching right now. 6 likes. That can't be the case. Like the video. And we got a call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
Hey, what's up, Louis T? This is AJ.
What's going on, AJ?
Yeah. I'm following the Redskins. And yeah, I say they should start Haskins this week.
I think most of us feel that way. It's not going to happen, and nothing has been announced. But if you look at any major media outlet, they're all reporting that Case Keenum is going to be the starter this week. And I totally agree. I mean, if you listen to Bill Callahan on Monday at his opening presser, he pretty much told us he was leaning towards Case Keenum because he talked so much. No one asked him this, and he started talking about Case's foot and how he was doing, and if Cases, we got to evaluate the health. He keeps saying we got to evaluate the health of these quarterbacks, trying to lump them into a group. But he's specifically talking because there's nothing wrong with Colt. There's nothing wrong with Dwayne. The only guy really coming back from injury, obviously Colt is coming off of an injury, but he played last week. He was fine. He didn't get hurt. He didn't re-aggravate anything as far as we know. So the only guy he's really talking about is Case Keenum. So that's the guy I think he's leaning towards starting.
Also, I disagree with the Gruden firing. Honestly, unless if you're going to fire a coach and then the next coach that you have up is going to be the coach that you want to try out and have that for your coach moving forward, which I doubt Callahan is, then I'd say wait till the end of the season to fire.
I don't necessarily disagree with that. I mean, my thing was, and this is why I wanted Gruden gone, is this team lacked discipline. It seems like Bill Callahan is going to bring a level of discipline. I feel confident saying this. This team will be much more prepared and more disciplined moving forward the remainder of the season. I think you will see a drastic difference there. I do feel confident saying that. However,
yeah, I agree. It's just because look at Jay Gruden compared to his brother John Gruden. And John is, of course, a lot more disciplined. And with Antonio Brown and all this crazy stuff with the fee and helmet, they cut him. And that's what I think Jay Gruden needs to be more of. A guy with zero tolerance for just about anything.
I mean, you look at the DJ Swearinger situation, not to harp on old things and bring up the past, but that was like the 7th time that they had a transgression with DJ. They had called him into his office 3 previous times and told him, stop throwing coaching staff members and players under the bus. And he repeatedly would go after games when he was frustrated and throw guys under the bus. And it took him till he did it like 7 times before they actually finally got rid of him. I mean, that's really the essence of Jay Gruden right there. If you're looking for his entire tenure in a snapshot, it's the DJ Swearinger situation. Because if you had zero tolerance for guys not following the rules and directions that were strictly given to them, then he would have been gone or benched or whatever the case may be, sent home with conduct detrimental to the team. And instead, he allowed that to fester all year long. You got guys like Jonathan Allen stepping up and saying, look, we don't have any problems with the coaching staff defensively, none of that. We felt like the play calling was fine. And there was a division in the locker room, and Jay could have put all that to rest. And that's who Jay was. But my biggest issue was Dwayne not playing. And that's why I wanted Jay gone. But Dwayne's still not playing. So I think we're going to see a team that is more disciplined, a team that will have more of a plan. I think at times Jay seemed scatterbrained. And Callahan had them running sprints at the end of practice. He said today that it's something that he realized with this team is that they ran out of juice in the second half, and that teams just simply were able to outlast them, and that's why you see such a big disparity in the second half of games. So he thinks that their stamina wasn't good enough. Again, I think you're going to see a much more disciplined football team. I don't know if you're going to see it long term, but you're going to see a much better product on Sunday. But keep in mind, a lot of that is going to be based off of the fact that we're playing the Miami Dolphins. Keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, Dolphins, they get the game of 2 in this team.
Yep. Somebody's old has to go, man. Hopefully it's the Redskins.
Yeah. It's one of those situations where somebody has to win.
Absolutely. Hey, AJ, man, thank you for calling in and joining the Redskins Nightly News, man. Have a good one.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned before with Callahan, I do feel like this is going to be a much more disciplined team. I do feel that way. I think there will be a new dedication to the run game. Will it be to a fault? We will see. He talked about not only rush attempts, but he also talked about completing passes. And what he was referring to was that stretch they had when they went to the AFC Championship game 2 years in a row with Mark Sanchez, Dirty Chez, where they ran the hell out of the football, but they also, had a very efficient passing game. And so he's looking to try to replicate some of those things here. We'll see if that's able to happen or not. But got a call, going to take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
What's going on, Louis? JP.
What's up, JP? Welcome to Redskins Nightly News, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, real quick. I only got like a couple minutes because I'm actually at work right now.
Yeah.
I just got to admit, I'm upset that Dwayne Haskins isn't playing, to be honest. I was thought that after Jay Gruden got fired, I really thought that he was going to come in and start the rest of the season. And I'm with you. I think he starts either against Minnesota or after Minnesota. He doesn't start at least after the Minnesota game. I'm going to be pretty pissed off, just like you are.
Yeah. I think the Minnesota game is a tough ask because it's a short turnaround and there's not a lot of time to prepare and install an offense. So highly unlikely. If he's not starting before then, I can't see him starting that Minnesota game. But definitely with the extra time that you will be allowed to get him up to speed and ready to put in and implement a game plan that suits him, makes him comfortable. You got 10 full days after that Thursday night game to get Dwayne ready. No excuses. He should be starting on the road at Buffalo the following week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the kid honestly needs to play. The season's over. There's really no point in saving him. I've had some fans still tell me that don't put him out there without the offensive line is with no Trent Williams. And what are you going to do if he can't handle? I've heard people say if he can't handle a season of failure, then how is he going to handle a career of success? That's just my opinion.
You're not wrong, JP. And my thing is, there's ways to combat, not having all your offensive linemen in the game. You get the football out of his hands quickly, bubbles, slants, crossing routes, things of that nature. There are ways to to alleviate stress from the quarterback by not allowing him to take 5 and 7 step drops continuously. There are ways to offset that. Like, I don't want to hear about the excuses about the offensive line or we don't have our tight ends, this, that. I don't want to hear all of that. You know, the NFL teams adjust and adapt. It's a war of attrition every year. You're going to have injuries. What are you telling me? Because the situation isn't perfect for him, that he can't play? Get the guy out there. Get him ready to play. Get a set of plays that he's comfortable with. Get him out there and get him in the game and get him game experience. It just doesn't make any sense. But I'm with you, JP, on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Couple things I want to – actually one other thing I want to talk about is the fact that I noticed that Bill Callahan is taking a little bit more of a Florida approach.
Yeah.
If you saw the things that they're having run sprints and that the captains are stretching,
right,
are in one group and they're stretching with the other guys,
yep,
and things of that nature. So there's a little bit of a different vibe in the locker room. It wasn't like that with Jay Gruden. It just seems there were reports that players were 10 to 15 minutes late to meetings. I mean, that's not acceptable. I mean, everyone has to be there on time. If you can't show up on time, then how are you going to? If you can't show up on time, then what are you doing, right?
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, I don't believe a lot of the stuff. I mean, there was a report out there that the players were able to check their cell phones during practice. And I was listening to D'Angelo Hall on the podcast that he does with Aaron Hawksworth, Hail to the Podcast, and he said that's so untrue. He played for Jay Gruden a number of years in Washington. He's like, never once were coaches, players, or anybody of the sort. He said the only guy on his phone was Larry Hess, which is the head trainer, and that was to check out injuries and things of that nature. He's like, no one ever had their phone. Like, you're going to get these kind of things, these reports, these erroneous reports, but I can't speak to guys being 10 to 15 minutes late to practice, meetings or whatever. But bottom line is, Jay's always had this Club Med. Yeah, we always said Club J was, how practice was, how training camp was. This isn't new news. So, like I said at the top of the show, it is a breath of fresh air to have Callahan come in and have a little bit more control over the team, and you can see him being a little bit more authoritative, and that's a breath of fresh air, as I mentioned.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I hear you got work going on in the background, JP. Take care of business, make that bread, man. We'll talk to you later, man. Thanks for checking in.
All right, thank you very much.
No doubt. All right, so like I said, with Callahan, I do expect some changes. I do expect this team to be more disciplined. I think the penalties will subside a bit. There's still going to be some penalties you can't help, like Fabian Moreau in the slot getting roasted and holding on. That's his thing. He likes to clutch and grab. But I think you're going to see a different approach from this football team. But they're still not good enough to beat the better teams in the league. But we got to call you. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with? Hello? Hello? Okay, you got a bad connection there. Try back again. If you're out there, you just called in. Your connection was horrendous. Try again. Hopefully we can get a cleaner connection and have you voice your opinion on this football team. But when I look, got another call. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Jonathan.
What's going on, Jonathan? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
I'm good. You? I have two theories for you.
Yep.
Hello?
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Okay. If we were to go 0-16, would you think that would be enough for Bruce Allen to get fired?
No, I don't. I don't think Bruce Allen gets fired under any circumstances at all.
And my second theory is for a potential head coach, where would you like Brian Day, head coach at
Ohio State? Okay, so here's the thing. Whomever comes in next, and we're assuming that Bill Callahan isn't going to get a shot. Let's say the Redskins go 8-3 down the stretch and finish up at 8-8. That's a hell of a job, and Callahan may be in line for the job himself. But let's just assume that Callahan is just keeping the seat warm for the next guy. So you want to start kind of considering coaches, and you're looking at the collegiate ranks. whomever comes in here, first and foremost, needs to believe in Dwayne Haskins. We assume that Ryan Day thinks that Dwayne Haskins is a phenomenal quarterback and that can play at this level. So that would be a guy to consider. Now, keep this in mind, and I keep reminding you guys of this and reiterating this to you guys, that whomever is the next coach is probably going to be a guy with not a lot of options. If you have options, the first one isn't going to be make a beeline to come to Washington and become their new head coach. You've got to be in a situation where you want to be a pro coach really bad, but nobody else is offering you that opportunity. Maybe Ryan Day is in a position where that's the case. Maybe no one else is thinking about him, and the Redskins reach out to him, and he's like, yeah, I'd love to be a NFL head coach. And you got the guy that I think is a phenomenal prospect in Dwayne Haskins. That's a possibility. But if you're telling me that Ryan Day doesn't have other opportunities, I don't know if I believe that, but I wouldn't be opposed to it. I would not be opposed to bringing in a guy that I know is going to believe in Dwayne Haskins. I just don't think the Redskins in their current state are going to be able to recruit a hot college coach or any of the hot assistants. You've heard names like Eric Bieniemy from the Chiefs thrown out there, and he's not coming here. Similar to, and I've brought this up many a times, but it's similar to the protege and the master situation in Dallas with Bill Parcells and Sean Payton. Sean Payton was going to take the Oakland Raiders job. This was back when Al Davis was still alive and running the Raiders into the ground. And he was going to take that job, and he went up to Bill Parcells and said, what do you think? And he was under Parcells at the time and had been for a while. And Parcells said, do not, under any circumstances, take that job. You're a good enough coach. Other opportunities will come available. Just wait. He did that. The Saints job came open. Drew Brees came available. The rest is history. I see the same thing with Andy Reid and Eric Bieniemy. He's not going to allow Eric Bieniemy to take the Redskins job if there are other opportunities available. And I see the same thing with a guy like Ryan Day. You already heard what the Oklahoma coach, Riley, has already said. All right. Lincoln Riley has already came out and said, under no circumstances am I even considering the Redskins job if I'm even eyeballing the NFL. That's been reported already. So you already see teams shitting on the Redskins, and that's going to be the theme. So you have to, and that's why retreads like Todd Bowles and guys like that are going to come up, because that's where we are in the process. That's where we are on the totem pole. If there are 7 jobs available, the Redskins job is the 7th job. You're not going to list the Redskins any higher than 7 if there's 7 jobs available. Like Mike Tomlin, if he's relieved of his duties in Pittsburgh, the only reason, similar to Landon Collins signing here in the offseason, the only reason that Mike Tomlin would sign here is because he grew up in this area. He's from the 757. He probably grew up a Redskins fan. I know him and Daniel Snyder have a really good relationship. The only reason he would come here is because his dream was to either play or coach for the Redskins. That's the only way you get a guy like Mike Tomlin to come here. If Mike Tomlin's smart, he'll stay far away from here and he'll wait a year, sit out. If the Steelers, and I still don't think he's getting fired. The Steelers could go 3-13. I still don't see Mike Tomlin being relieved of his duties in Pittsburgh. But if he does, I would sit out a year, do TV, and then everyone will be banging down your door come the year after that, trying to give you a job. I just don't see him coming here. So I know that was a longer answer than you were looking for, but to answer your question, yes, Ryan Day would be a guy that I would consider for the job. If he wanted it. I don't think he does.
Well, I think you're doing a great job, and that's all I had to say. And keep up the great job.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. Thanks for joining the program, man. You have a good one.
No problem.
So, there's so much talk about these different coaches and what Redskins coach do you want. At this point, and that's why I don't have a wish list. People keep asking me, I've had so many people ask me, what's your Redskins wish list? Fans of other teams, what's your wish list of coaches? And I'm like, bruh, really, as a Redskins fan, we're at the mercy of these coaches. We're not in a position to handpick our next coach. We're not lining up guys and actually having interviews and figuring out which guy we want. We got to take what's ever left. We got to take table scraps at this point. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
There's so much talk. Funky Road.
Hey, man, can you turn down your monitor? It's loud in the background. Hello? Can you turn down your monitor? It's echoing in the background.
Oh, my bad.
You good, man?
Okay.
All right.
So, yeah.
Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News, man. Appreciate you calling in.
All right. What's up, Louie?
What's going on?
All right, Louie. Hey, man, I watch your show. You're good. You're great. If I ever have money, I will make sure. I'll make sure I give you your own show, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
But look, on the Redskins now, okay? My theory is they have a plan.
Okay.
For some odd reason, I know, but they have a plan. I think Bruce and Dan probably have a plan. It might be a Todd Bowles, or it might just even be Mike Tomlin. And I know you just said all that, but it might be a Mike Tomlin. But I think they want to tank for Chase Young. I think their mindset right now is probably trying to tank. Trent's out. I think Bruce and Trent had a talk. He like, look, this year might be a wash. You know what? Chill. Sit up. All right. It's a reason why Jordan Reed got injured and he still ain't playing. And Josh Allen just came back from a concussion. And I know Jordan just had like six or seven throughout his whole, career. But I think they got a plan. And I think they're thinking longevity with this right now. And with Dwayne's good. He's great. He is a beast. So to all Redskins fan right now, just be patient with Dwayne. Be patient with Dwayne. That man's good. Look in the preseason. His first game, he threw picks. His first game, he threw 2 picks. And every game he progressed from no picks to, okay, I'm getting sacked, to no getting sacked. So when they put him in the game, the man is going to progress. And if next year they address KJ Hill from Ohio State with him and McLaurin, you got to think longevity with this thing right now. The Redskins are on something. They got a young defense, but picture Montez Sweat and Chase Young. Just picture that with the Bam boys in the middle. And guess what? Reuben Foster. Reuben Foster is a key next year. Reuben, a key next year. So think of that front seven. They can let go Josh, and you still got Dunny. You would get a young corner, and this is where Todd Bowles comes in. Todd Bowles is a secondary coach. So think of that front seven with Todd Bowles can turn Dunbar into an A1 corner, A1 guy, and then Landon, and then you can coach up Monte. No, you can coach up. What's his name? I forgot. But you can coach up a starting safety right now. I know he a young boy, but just think long. Think long with it. But that's all I have to say.
Okay.
You keep working, my man. I see you. I watch your show a lot when I could. And you're good at what you do, okay, brother?
Man, I appreciate that, man. Have a good one. Thanks for joining the show.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we got to talk about that call. So I thought the final 5 minutes the final 3 minutes of that call was excellent. I can honestly see that. All right. The first 3 minutes of that call, though, whoa, hold on a second. So the man said that this is a plan, that they want to tank. First of all, let's break down and get to, and I'm sorry if you call in, I have to do this right now. Cannot let that slide. All right. So here's the thing. Let's systematically break down the first half of what this man just said to us. He said that this is a plan. One, that Bruce and Dan have a plan. When have Bruce and Dan ever had a plan? Ever. Okay? That's number one. Never have these guys ever had a plan. They've been impulsive and they've done things off the cuff and they think they're close. No, they don't have a plan. They are never thinking long term. If you're thinking long term, then you would have traded Trent already, and you would have already been playing Dwayne Haskins, and you would have already traded away Ryan Kerrigan, and you would have gotten rid of Josh Norman. If you were thinking long term, if this was big picture, they would have already punted on the season, and they would have been in a much better position to start drafting prospects in 2020. That's not where they are, and that's not how they think. All right, let's break down the next thing that was said. So then this man says, well, you know, they told Trent to stay away. They're tanking. If you're going to tank, why not just keep Jay Gruden on board? Jay was doing a great job of losing ball games. All right. If you're looking for a change and trying to win, you make a change. So you know they're not trying to tank, because if they wanted to continue losing, just leave Jay out there and allow Jay to get his brains bashed in every week. He was doing a great job at that. So you know they're not looking to lose ball games. Number 3. The man said that Trent Williams, they told him, hey, just chill, bruh. This is going to be a bad season. That's not even in Bruce's vocabulary. Bruce is still talking about all team goals are still in front of them this season, even though I don't believe a word that comes out of his mouth. But what I'm telling you is that's not the conversation he had with Trent. And Jordan Reed's concussion, we all know no two concussions are alike. They're like snowflakes. They're like DNA. Everyone's concussion is different. Because Josh Allen just had a concussion and came back in the same week doesn't mean that's what Jordan Reed can do. And you said it yourself. Jordan Reed's on like his 7th concussion that we know of. The two are not comparable. So that whole first half of that call was crazy. But the second half of that call was excellent. And I appreciate you chiming in. But there is no way, and I repeat, no way that Bruce and Dan have a plan. And I do think Dwayne Haskins is going to have a bright future, but we can't say definitively that this guy is going to be the next big thing at the quarterback position for the Washington Redskins. That's why we need to see him play. But we got a call. I'm going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
You speak on the peso.
Hey, what's up, man? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
All right, nice to speak to you. Yeah, man, I pretty much think, man, Case Keenum is pretty much out of the equation from what I've seen so far. And I feel like he's trying to just give everybody an opportunity. I will put, next up, Colt McCoy, since he's so-called know the business, as we heard about, and then see where that goes. And, then Dwayne Haskins is, just give everybody a chance, because that's pretty much all we have on the plate right now, is chances and time. And we definitely need time to develop Dwayne Haskins.
So you're in the camp of Dwayne's not ready, don't put him out there yet.
I think he's ready, but I believe Colt McCoy will need the next person to be up, because we need to give him a chance. If he can't do nothing this year, he got to go. Like, he needs to go. We got to clean his house. If you're not just about to keep having people sitting around that's backups and they're not doing anything and there's no hope, to the people that's just sitting there, especially him, he's been there for years.
So if you think Dwayne is ready, why not play him?
Yeah, he's ready. I believe he's ready. And play him I believe he's going to be a great quarterback if we do play him, but we still have people that's been there and know the system way better. So, I don't know.
It's all good, man. The thing is, we know what Colt McCoy is. We've seen him long enough. The man has like a 7-29 record in his career, whatever it is, like 7-24. He hasn't been a good starting NFL quarterback. We know what he is, so we don't need to see him. He's a perfect backup quarterback, a guy that you can bring in spot duty for a week or 2 or 3 if need be. We've seen him not be able to stay healthy for an entire season. We know what Colt McCoy is. We know what Case Keenum is. So we don't need to see these guys. Put in Dwayne. That's been my sentiment. And if you think, and you said it yourself out of your own mouth, that you think Dwayne is ready, then if he's ready, what are we waiting on? Put him in the game.
Yeah, we need him to be ready. We need him to come out and play next. He should be next Sunday. Like, we need him. But this is, I think, this is what they're doing. They're just giving everybody an opportunity this year to see who can do the best. That's how I feel like that's what they're doing.
Hey, man, I appreciate you chiming in, man. Have a good one.
All right, you too.
Appreciate it. So he said that Case is out. I think Case is going to be the guy to get the opportunity. And this is my thought process behind Case potentially being the guy to get an opportunity. I think he looked at Case and said he's the guy that gave us the best chance to win this year. And in the games that Case has started earlier in the season, we were competitive and things just didn't go our way late in those ball games. But anyway, I think that's his thought process as to why Case might be the starter. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, you speaking to John?
Hey, what's up, John, man? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
Hi, man. So, I've been listening to what everybody's been saying, but what I think is that the reason why they're not playing Haskins right now is they just want to get him ready. Not now, because we just changed coaches. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I mean, I sort of get that, but the thing is, you change coaches, and maybe you even change philosophies. If that's the case, everybody's going through that same change. So if you've got 3 quarterbacks, all have played pretty poorly this year, all right? And that's been the thing that's probably been the most frustrating. It'd be one thing. Remember the start that Case Keenum got off to this year, where we was like, yo, Case is not the problem. If Case was still playing that way, and you told me, look, Case isn't the problem, I wouldn't have any objections to that. Like, if Case is out here right now at this point of the season, 12 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, he's thrown for, 1,700 yards, and his completion percentage is around 67%. I'm like, yo, y'all are talking about the wrong dude. It's not Case Keenum. It's this defense. But Case has been funky. Colt looked horrible on Sunday. And Dwayne, you're sitting there and saying, look, those are veterans. You expect them to look better. They haven't. Let's put the young fella in. So
Exactly. I totally agree with you, too. But what I'm saying is that, maybe it's because, there's a new change, in coaches. So they just want to, gradually get him into the game plan, build his game plan.
Hey, look.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no. Now, that makes a lot of sense. I don't disagree with that. You got to change in philosophy, and I think they're going to run the ball a little bit more. And so they need someone that they feel like can be a little bit of a game manager per se. And they think that guy might be Case Keenum, I think. So I see where you're coming from there.
Yeah. Also, I just wanted to say this. I do not understand why people are really going against, Dwayne Haskins. First of all, let's not forget that this guy didn't take any team reps. No first team reps. None of that. He was playing with, the reserves. Okay?
Yeah, the
and then
practice
they just
squad.
put him inside the game in the third quarter, at the end of the third quarter. And I don't know what people are expecting the kid to do. Like, just be the best thing that has ever happened when he didn't even get, he didn't even get a fair chance to play. Even during the preseason, they didn't even give him a chance to even practice with the whole time during training camp. You understand? So what I'm saying is that people need to be patient. They need to give this kid the first reps. Okay, they need to help him get better, and then he's gonna be. I really feel good about the kid. I feel like he's gonna be really good.
I agree. I mean, my thing is, and that's why I said, while I'm disappointed in him not starting this week versus Miami, I listened to Bill Callahan, and he's made a concerted effort to say, look, we're going to get him up to speed, and when we feel like he's ready, we're going to give him a chance to start, and we're going to give him opportunities to get reps and practice. That's something that Jay would not go and do, and I'm not going to try to fillet Jay because that's not what other teams do. If you've got a first-team quarterback, he's getting all the reps during the week. That's how it goes in the league. So I'm not going to sit here and act like Jay should have been giving this man reps in practice. That's not what you do in this league. That's not the norm. The norm is you take your first team quarterback and he gets all the reps so you can prepare him as much as possible to try to go out and win on Sunday or Monday or Thursday or whenever you play. So from that standpoint, that's what teams do in this league. My problem is at this point, you're 0-5, got really nothing to lose. And I listened to him talk about how much Dwayne learned in that experience versus the Giants. Okay, if he learned that much and it's that invaluable of experience, don't you think more game action, not less of it, would be experienced going into
I
next
agree with
season.
you.
So that's the only thing. And you can look at it from both ways. I understand where you're coming from, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense. So it's I want him to be as prepared as possible, but I still want him to play as much as possible, if that makes sense. Like, seeing Dwayne for just 4 games this year won't be enough for me. You know, if he gets the final 4 games of the season, and let's say he plays well, it's a small sample size. You can say, hey, end of the season, some teams already checked out, and you really don't know what you got. You know, if you get an 8-game sample size, it's still a small sample size, but you feel a lot more confident that, look, over the last 8 games of the season, Dwayne looked pretty damn good. You feel really good about that versus just saying, hey, the last 4 games, Dwayne didn't look too bad.
That's very true. And I totally agree with you. Also, just one thing I want to say. I don't think Gruden gave him any chance at all, even before, even before the kid got into camp. He had already chosen who he wanted to play already. So the kid never had any chance to practice with starters, none of that. So I don't understand why everybody's going crazy when the kid is not doing good. That's all I'm saying. Yeah,
I totally understand, man. It was a situation that I thought it was no win for Jay, and unfortunately he lost his job. But Callahan's in now. We'll see what he does, and we'll see what happens moving forward, man. Hey, I appreciate you calling in, man. Thanks a lot for the call.
All right, man. You take care.
Likewise. So I wanted to get to this super chat. My man John Saluter, really appreciate you, John. Really appreciate the super chat and the support. He says, Mike Tomlin, he said he's under contract, but thoughts on Mike Tomlin. So I kind of talked about this. We're going to get to that. Got a call. I want to take this call, but we're going to talk about it because you super chatted, so I'm going to make sure we talk about that. You're on live with your man Louis T. Who am I speaking with? Hello?
Hello?
Turn your monitor down. Your monitor is too loud in the background.
Oh, my monitor down?
Yes.
Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yep, we can hear you. Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News. Who we speaking with?
This is George.
All right, George. What you got?
I just want to say, I agree with the things you were saying about how Dwayne, not starting Dwayne, and I just it's kind of bad that they're not starting him this season. I mean, not this game. Mm-hmm.
I mean, it at this point, it is what it is. He's not going to start. Again, I'm optimistic that this approach that they're taking in practice, where they're making sure that he's getting reps with the first team in practice in different situations, is going to be beneficial, and it's going to speed up the process to get him ready. That's what we keep hearing over and over. He's not ready. Right. He's not ready. We'll get him ready. Hopefully, these reps that he's taking in practice and all the things that he's potentially doing behind the scenes with this new staff, or at least with Callahan running the show, is going to expedite the process to get him ready, which is what they keep telling us. He's not ready. Get him ready to play.
Right. Right.
Hey, man, appreciate you chiming in, George. Have a good one, man.
You too, man.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
So John asked about Mike Tomlin, and I've already kind of touched on it, but I'll elaborate since, again, you blessed me with the super chat. So with Mike Tomlin, this is how I feel. I love Mike Tomlin. I would love him to come in here and clean things up. And I watched, and can't stand ESPN, especially when you're talking about First Take and Stephen A. Smith and all those guys. But I watched Stephen A. Smith, and I agree with Stephen A. when he said, look, he's a Steelers fan first and foremost. And he said, I don't want Mike Tomlin to go anywhere. But let's just say somehow, some way, he's no longer Steelers coach. I would love him to get an opportunity. He said, look, if Gruden can get a 10-year, $100 million contract to go and pretty much be the guy in Oakland and / Las Vegas, why can't Mike Tomlin, not saying he necessarily needs to get that kind of contract, but you're going to have to give up some money if you're going to lure a guy like Mike Tomlin here. Why not give him the keys to the car and say, hey, man, fix my ride, okay? Pimp my car out, essentially. And I don't disagree with that. I think Mike Tomlin's everything that we're not right now. He runs a disciplined ship. He runs a tight ship. And I know we've seen guys pop off like L. Bell. And we saw the whole Antonio Brown situation and how they've been covering for him for years. But that's even more testament to how good Tomlin's been in Pittsburgh, that All that stuff was going on behind the scenes, and yet they were able to win consistently. They haven't won a bunch of Super Bowls. I get it. But they were in contention. And oh, by the way, it was similar to the Jazz or the Knicks or any other good teams back in those days that played when Jordan played. Unfortunately, you played with the GOAT. So you didn't get a chance to win a championship. Unfortunately, the Steelers played at the same time with Tom Brady. So they didn't get to win a lot of Super Bowls. I bet you if you remove Tom Brady from the scenario, the situation, and gave the Steelers those opportunities, I'm pretty sure there would be more Super Bowls on the resume of Mike Tomlin. But that's nor here nor there. I really love Mike Tomlin as a coach. I love the message that he preaches. No, he's not great at in-game strategy. Similar to Jay, it will drive you crazy at times. And sometimes he's unpredictable when he goes for two. And you're like, Mike, what the hell are you doing? It's the first quarter. Why are you going for two? Mike can't tell you. He's just going for two. There's some things that I don't love about Mike Tomlin, but one thing's for sure. Mike Tomlin's a hard ass. Mike Tomlin's a stickler for guys being accountable and responsible. He's not going to make any excuses, which is what we've done as an organization for years. I would love Mike Tomlin to come here. He's a defensive-minded guy. Keep that in mind. So you're going to have to also make sure you have a strong offensive presence in Washington. Maybe Kevin O'Connell is a guy you keep on board as the offensive coordinator and you bring in Tomlin. I would love it. But one, he's under contract, as you mentioned in your super chat, and I've mentioned several times, and I don't see him getting relieved of his duties in Pittsburgh. They've had 3 coaches over the last 3 decades. I don't see that changing now. Hell, maybe even 4 decades. They don't fire coaches is what I'm trying to tell you. Cowher was the coach for damn near 20 years. Chuck Noll was the coach for over 20 years. And Tomlin's been the coach for that. So you're probably talking about more like 50, 60 years. They had 3 coaches. All right? So they don't fire coaches for nothing. And the man hasn't had back-to-back losing season. I don't even know if he's had a losing season in Pittsburgh yet. So I don't see him getting fired. But bottom line is, the only way, and I said this before, and I'll say it once more, and then we'll get back to the callers because I see the lines are lit. The only way Tomlin comes here, because he's going to have options. I'm not one that subscribes to the theory that Mike Tomlin won't have options. Even if it's not right away and he's got to go the Mike McCarthy route where you sit out a year. And unlike McCarthy, who didn't get on television and keep his name relevant, Mike Tomlin is going to have any job at any major network he wants where he can come on, talk, speak eloquently, because we know this guy can speak very eloquently, keep his name in the mouth of general managers and owners around the league, and then next year, teams will be beating down his door to come back and coach their team. So I don't think the Redskins will be high on the list, but this is the thing. He's from this area. He's a 757 guy. He went to high school here in the 757. He went to college at William & Mary up in Williamsburg. He's from this area, probably grew up a Redskin fan, probably dreamed of playing for the franchise, probably dreamed of coaching the franchise. Now, this was before Dan Snyder ran this shit into the ground, but he remembers this organization as a storied franchise. He knows that it's a dumpster fire right now. Does he want to come here and try to rebuild it and restore it? Because he knows that if he's able to do that, he will be a beyond life and a beyond larger than life figure here in this area. If he's able to restore this Redskins organization to prominence, he will be revered like Joe Gibbs in these parts. So does he want to take on that challenge? Maybe. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't think he would want to. I wouldn't want to. If I'm his agent, I'm saying, Mike, I know you have nostalgia for that organization, but that's not the move for you right now in your career. Go elsewhere. But we'll see what happens in any event. Just wanted to go ahead and take care of that because you blessed me with the super chat. Got a call. Going to go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, Tom. It's your boy, Mike Larry.
What's going on, Mike?
So I got one question for you. I just posted in chat. I said, what if you let Kevin O'Connell go, he goes to another team, turns up to be another Sean McVay, and we sitting here with what we know average Todd Bowles or Mike Tomlin that possibly is not going to come.
Right.
What y'all think about it?
So that's the dilemma that the Redskins find themselves in. That's why they had to promote him this year, because remember, he was the quarterback's coach, and if they didn't promote him, another team could have wrestled him away and given him a move that was above quarterbacks coach, and so the Redskins had to counter that by making him the offensive coordinator per se. He wasn't actually calling the plays. Jay was still calling the plays, but they made him the offensive coordinator to keep him here in Washington. They're fearful that he could turn out to be the next Matt LaFleur, the next Kyle Shanahan, or the next Sean McVay. They're scared that if they let him walk and he goes and 2 years later, he's somebody's head coach and he's tearing it up, that they would have allowed another assistant that was in the building walk and become a great coach elsewhere. They don't want that to happen. That's why you keep hearing KOC's name. Not because he's done anything of note here, but it's because they see the promise, they see the potential, they love what this guy has mentally in terms of his aptitude for the game of football, and him being an ex-quarterback himself. He sees the game a certain way. They think he's got a chance to be special, and they don't want to let him leave. And that's why you keep hearing KOC's name pop up every time we start talking about potential head coaching candidates. His name is usually at the top of the list because they don't want to make that mistake. And he may not be those guys. He may be a dud. You know what I mean? But they want to make sure he's a dud before they allow him to go elsewhere. So I don't think they're and we talk about all these guys that are defensive minded, the Tomlins, the Bowles, and guys like that. Those are defensive coaches. They're going to need someone to call the plays offensively. Like those guys, they like to just turn that control over to somebody else and be done with that. And they just want to focus on the defense. So,
and we got some good defensive coaches too as well. I mean, I don't like Manusky, but I mean, the Ryans, I mean, they're Jim Tomsula. I mean, they're pretty established in the NFL.
So here's the problem with Tom Sula. Tom Sula doesn't want to be here if Manusky's not here. Him and Manusky are best friends. So if you get rid of Manusky, Tom Sula, the only reason Tom Sula came back because contractually he did not have to come back. That was the worry that Jonathan Allen and all these guys they laud and praise Jim Tom Sula. He said, and remember, this is a guy, Daron Payne and Jonathan Allen. These are guys that played for Nick Saban at Alabama, and they said Jim Tom is the best coach I've ever had. Okay, that's what those guys are saying. So they did not want to disrupt that by getting rid of Greg Manusky. They tried. Nobody else wanted. Now, if they would have found somebody, like if Todd Bowles would have accepted the defensive coordinator position, Manusky would have been gone, and so would have Tom Sula. But we would have been okay because we would have been happy that Todd Bowles was here calling the defense. But if you're not going to have someone like that come in, then you want Tom Sula to still be on this staff, you are going to have to retain Manusky. The only reason he's here is because of Manusky. So
I see a 50-50 chance of us pretty much keeping the same staff with Manusky and everyone from this year, but maybe promoting O'Connell.
Oh, you talking about after the season?
Yeah.
Zero chance. Zero chance Manusky's back after this season.
Oh, man, we got to look for a defensive coach. Oh,
yeah,
man.
No way that guy's back. I can assure you of that. There aren't many things I'm going to promise Redskins fans because I've been wrong in the past, and I thought Dan was going to fire Bruce last year, and I thought Jay was going to get fired last year. These were things that I thought you couldn't possibly think we were going to move forward with these guys and be successful. They did, and now we are where we are. But I can assure you of this. Just like I knew Jay was going to get fired, there was no way Jay was going to make it either through this entire season or after the season remain as Redskins head coach. Same thing goes for Greg Manusky. There is no way Manusky is back after this season, if he makes it through the entire season.
Well, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm going to keep tuning in. Love the content.
Hey, man, I appreciate you. No doubt.
No problem.
All right. That was Mike Lowry, everybody. John Saluter also sent me another super chat. Really appreciate it, John. I really, really do, man. Thank you so much for the support. John says on this super chat, he says, thank you for answering my question, Louis. I appreciate you, man. No, I appreciate you, John. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right, so getting back to the phone lines, I don't see anybody calling in right now, but as I do now, someone is calling in, so I'm going to go ahead and take this call. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Yo, this is Eddie from Waterbury, Connecticut, man.
Hey, what's going on, Eddie? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
Hey, listen, man. First, I wanted to give you a shout-out, man. Love what you're doing. I travel for work, and I enjoy watching your show. Listening to your show on my long rides.
Yep.
So keep it up, man.
Hey, man, I appreciate that. No doubt. Definitely will.
Yeah. So listen. listen, man, I just want to talk a little bit about Dwayne Haskins, man.
Okay.
I really feel for this kid. I feel that, he's been put through the ringer this year, just with all the drama that's around him. And I just hope the guy can keep his head straight, stay focused on the big picture, man. And, because he's going to be our guy. He's going to get his opportunity eventually. I just hope that with all this mess that's around him right now, he can just push through that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I am 110% with you. That's the problem with everyone that gets drafted here is it's not just the football on and off the field you got to deal with. It's everything else. And that's the thing that I always worry about with these players is that it's contamination when you come to this organization because you don't get to just show up to work like everybody else does around the league. You got to show up and you got to deal with the nonsense that's always hovering around Redskins Park. And it's unfortunate because I think the dude has talent and he's been through a lot. And we're only 5 weeks into the season going into week 6. And he's been through a lot already, and
right.
The man was the top, literally. You turn on any sports program and one of the top stories was the handling of Dwayne Haskins. You know what I mean? Like that was a hot button topic of issue and concern. And I know he had to be feeling like, well, damn, do I get a say so in this? It's amazing. And like I said, I hope he strikes me as a guy that's mentally tough and like this stuff isn't going to bother him. But at some point, you just want to get on the field, be able to drown out all the noise and just play. And
no, absolutely agree with you, man. But I mean, if you really look into between the lines and you see some of his body language, sometimes you could tell a little bit that he's a little irritated with everything.
Oh, yeah.
But at the same time, I think the kid needs to look in the mirror and kind of take accountability. Like he has the control to just improve. You know what I mean? He has to just dive in, dig in, and just get better, man, because he's going to get his shot. And I kind of agree that, even after the firing of Jay, Callahan comes in and he makes the choice that he's not going to run with the kid either. So that tells you something. That tells you that the kid may not be ready. So I just hope that he could just, suck it up and just get with it and just take a good look in the mirror and just get better. You know what I mean?
Hey, yeah, I appreciate you, Eddie, man, and you keep doing what you're doing. Continue to support the movement, man, and I'm going to continue to try to put this content out for you, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, brother. All right, take care, man.
Hey, likewise. So let's talk about that. Eddie made some points there, and from all accounts, Dwayne Haskins has been putting in the work. He's a really good dude. I haven't heard anything contrary to that. So I think we'll come back to that. Got a call. You're on live with your man Louis T. Who am I speaking with? Got to turn down your monitor. It's a little loud in the background. Hello?
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 You're on live. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, this is Jake.
What's up, Jake?
Hey, man. So I was just thinking while I was watching this video, your stream, I was just thinking, like, looking back at Jay's, like, one of his final press conferences after the Giants game, he said that he wanted continuity and that he can't just be changing people every 5 minutes. But then he went, like, back on what he said, I guess, and, played cold.
Yeah, but we all knew. Jay said, in Jay's mind, if he was going to go out, which he knew he was close to going out, he was going out on his terms with his guy. He's always been a Colt McCoy guy from day one, and he felt like, and I really truly believe this, no one has ever said this, and Jay hasn't said this definitively, but Jay felt like they didn't need to trade for Alex Smith after Kirk left for Minnesota in free agency. If you would have drafted a rookie and given him Colt McCoy for 16 games, I truly believe Jay thought he could take this team to the playoffs. Like, now, I think that was a really bad train of thought by Jay, but I think that was Jay's mindset, is that you give me Colt McCoy and you give me him for 16 games, I can get it done. And the organization never believed that because every time Colt had a chance to start, they always brought somebody else in, whether they gave Kirk the opportunity back in 2015 or they brought in Alex Smith with the trade last year. So they never believed in Colt more so than a backup, but Jay was ready to give him an opportunity, and that's what he did on the way out.
Yeah, definitely. So the other thing I wanted to talk about was with all like the names flying around, like the Tomlins and different people flying around.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has really mentioned Greg Williams in the mix
Right.
for the new coaching job.
Yep. Do you think he should be mentioned?
Yeah, I think he should be mentioned. I think he did well with the Browns last year, and he worked under Joe Gibbs. And
that's an interesting point. Because if you remember last offseason when we were talking about defensive coordinators and possibly getting rid of Jay, one of the names that was really hot, I was one of the people that was pushing Greg Williams, was Greg Williams. And it's amazing now that we fast forwarded to 2019 and into the season. And this is the thing that hurts Greg is last year he was in a high profile spot with the Browns. Not saying that the Browns is a great destination, but the Browns are a lot more visible, especially now with Baker Mayfield. And that defense had talent, and he was able to make a statement with the Browns last year, and they were able to turn things around, and they made a late season run, and a lot of that was catapulted by their defense. And who was running the defense? Greg Williams. And he was the interim head coach. So it all kind of came together for him last year. But then you look at him now in New York with the Jets, and while I think they have talent in New York, they haven't been great defensively this season. And some of that is because the quarterback position has been so bad, and it's put a lot of stress and strain on that defense. But in order to get a head coaching job as a defensive coordinator, your defense has to be legit, and they're just not playing that well in New York. Now, neither are the Buccaneers in Tampa under Bowles, but when you go to Los Angeles and score 55 points, even if your defense gives up 40 in that game, it's a high-profile job. You're visible. You're winning games, and so there's a track record there. So I'm with you. I don't know why Greg Williams' name isn't coming up, but I don't know if he's being discussed or not. And he wasn't on the short list of guys. I think right now you're looking at guys that have a better standing in the league. I think Greg Williams' persona, remember, he got some publicity earlier in the season. It was not net positive, though, when Odell Beckham said that some players on the team, remember, when he was back with Cleveland, Odell got hurt in the preseason when he was a Giant. And he said some players on the team told him, now we don't know how true it is, but they told him that Greg put a bounty on his head, essentially. Said, hey, take this guy out. And it was a preseason game. So there's a lot of negativity that comes with Greg Williams. I don't know if the Redskins want any more negativity in their building, but that's just a hunch.
Yeah.
Hey, man. Hey, Jake, appreciate you calling in, man. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too, man.
Appreciate it. So there's that, and that Jake brings up an interesting point that, we haven't had a lot of Greg Williams discussions, and a lot of his name hasn't come up very often, which is surprising. It really is, being that he was such a hot commodity for the Redskins last offseason. But I digress. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
Hey, Lou, this is Andrew from Manassas, Virginia.
Hey, what's going on, Andrew? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
It's first time calling. Just want to tell you, first off, I appreciate all the content you put out, and I especially like this format, the Nightly News. It's pretty cool. I enjoy watching on YouTube.
Hey, appreciate that, man. I really do.
I remember the Lions fan yesterday. He called in. He kind of got to me a little bit, but I just want to. I know a lot of other Redskins fans probably relate to this. I mean, things have gotten so bad with the fan base. We got a 3-year-old son, and sometimes I swear, man, I feel like I'm doing him wrong. Like he was he wanted to learn the Hail to the Redskins song the other day. I was teaching it to him. I was just thinking, man, am I screwing this kid up? Tell you. But I know a lot of the Redskins
Yeah, I'm one of them. My son's one, and he watches football with me. He'll sit down and watch some of these games, and I'm saying to myself, do I want to put him through what I'm going through right now? Do I really want to do this to him? Because there are other teams out there that would give him so much joy. Do I really? Because this is the thing. It'd be one thing if this was just a little bit of a stretch we were going through and, ownership wasn't terrible. And if we just got rid of Bruce, maybe we could recruit someone in and things could change. But Dan is only 54 years old. And if he takes care of himself physically, he could be the owner for the next 30 years. So I may not see a winner the rest of my lifetime. That's very possible. And my son could spend years upon years rooting for an epic loser.
I know it. I keep telling myself, going through all this hard times is going to be so much sweeter.
Yeah.
When they do.
Absolutely. That's what I keep telling them.
I'm the eternal optimist.
Me too. Me too.
I talk to my friends, and I was like, if Jerry Jones, as much as he meddles, if he could find the right coach, I keep thinking if we can just find the right coach. But at this point, Bruce has got to go. I don't think we're going to get the right coach as long as Bruce is there.
Right.
Anybody worth their salt is not going to want to come here and work under him.
Yep.
And like I said, I'm an eternal optimist. I kind of disagree with you on Bruce being there forever. I think it's got to have reached a point now where Dan's considered to let him go.
You think so? See, I keep trying to convince myself. I did it last year against my better wishes. I had this internal struggle where I'm like, there were so many Redskins fans saying, Louis, you're delusional. Bruce has a lifetime job. And I'm like, we said the same thing about Vinny's ass. And he finally woke up and got rid of Vinny. But here's the difference between Vinny and Bruce. Vinny wasn't a football guy. Vinny was a yes man. Vinny was a bumbling, stumbling idiot. You can say what you want about Vinny. Vinny was laughing and joking and thought everything was funny. Vinny was just negligent, okay? Bruce is actually a politician. Like Bruce, he's conniving, he's deceitful. There's actually tact to what Bruce does. He's very manipulative too. So in a way, Bruce does just enough with Dan, all the while trying to appease the fans that are your Harvest Fest fans that think the organization can do no wrong. He does just enough with Dan to convince him that they're on the right track. Like the thing that he's in Dan's ear telling him over and over, Dan, if Alex Smith didn't get hurt last year, we were 6-3 and we were going to win a division. And Dan's hearing that and he's thinking, you know what? You're right. We're close. If we could just get the right coach in here, we can fix this thing. No, we're not close, but that's what Bruce is doing. He's very manipulative like that. So I don't know if he's going anywhere, Andrew. I don't, man. I want to believe it, but I thought last year after 40-0 early stages of the fourth quarter at home versus the Giants, followed by the Week 17 massacre at home where the Eagles literally took over, Bruce has got to go. And instead, he gives the man more power by allowing him to run the other side of the operation where Brian LaFemina was fired. So I don't know, man. When you listen to him at the presser on Monday and he's talking about, you're not going to talk to Dan because you're talking to me. Mm-hmm. That's why he's not going anywhere, I think. He's the barrier between Dan and the media and Dan and the rest of the league and Dan and the fans. Dan doesn't have to be the face of the franchise and take all the blame.
He's a coward. He doesn't want to face the fans.
Exactly.
That's what upsets me.
Exactly.
Yeah, Bruce, because I think Dan was telling him, look, get your ass out there, though. You're responsible. You wanted Jay.
Yep.
This is your roster, so you're going to face the media. That's kind of what I got out of it. I mean, a lot of people didn't get that, but I got that out of the press conference. I mean, I'm at the point now, I can't believe I'm at this point. Mm-hmm. I mean, for me, if you knew me, you would understand, but I'm pulling for Washington to lose badly for the rest of the year.
Right. I know where you're going with that.
I don't want there to be anything that Bruce Allen could walk into Dan's office with and say, see, I want it to be, I want to smack Dan in the face.
Right.
And then I want a good coach, I there's somebody Dan really covets to come in, and that coach is going to sit him down and explain to him, you have to get rid of Bruce, and this is why. And that's the best case scenario, and sadly, the best case scenario involves us going 2-14 or losing to the Dolphins. That's
Absolutely.
bad. That's where
No,
we're at.
Andrew, you're 100% right. I mean, I'm gonna keep it a whole stack with you. If the Redskins find a way to go 6-10, 7-9, God forbid 8-8, or even 5-11, Bruce is gonna say, look, if we didn't have the injuries, if Trent would have showed up, if Jay would have been gone sooner, or if we would have had this or that, look at what we did when we got rid of Jay. Look at how much better we were. We're close. He's gonna tell him that. He keeps saying this close shit. We're close.
Yeah.
And Dan is buying it. And you're right. The absolute bottom has to fall out of this. And there was a caller earlier that said, what if we go 0-16? I still don't think he's going to be gone. Now, 0-16, it's hard to come back. It's hard for everybody to come back after 0-16. Changes have to be made. 1-15, same thing. But if there's any organization oblivious to what's going on outside of Redskins Park, if there's any organization that is delusional enough to think it's not our fault, it's the coaching staff's fault, or if we get this guy in here or we get that guy in here, things will change. It's this organization. It's Dan Snyder. It's Bruce Allen. And so my thought process is, even if we go 1-15, Andrew, even if we go 2-14, Dan is going to find a way to rationalize it, because Bruce is going to tell him it's not our fault, it's their fault. You heard the press conference. It's we. Every time something goes wrong, it's we. We. But when something goes wrong and they don't like somebody, he threw Jay under the bus several times in that press conference where he said, we had issues on game day. What is he trying to say? On game day. That's the coach. That's the coach.
He said we made a lot of mistakes.
We made a lot of mistakes on game day. He made sure he said game day 3 times. I counted 3 times in that press conference when referring to mistakes and things that didn't go well. Why? Because he's trying to distance himself from Jay and put the blame on Jay. Same thing he did with Kirk. Oh, your record speaks for itself. His record hasn't been good enough. But when we bring up his record, 59, 92-1, now it's we. No, we don't like our record. We don't think that we're proud of what we've done. We have to be better. No, we're not talking about everybody, Bruce. We're talking about your record since 2013 in December when you got here. But he doesn't want to talk about that. He wants to talk about everybody. And that's the kind of thing that leads me to believe that he's not going anywhere.
All right. Well, I got one more comment. I'll get off here. If Bruce is back, God forbid, but if Dan buys his bullshit,
yep.
I think we do need to go with a more experienced coach, somebody who maybe a possible former head coach, somebody like that. I don't think Bruce has the eye and Dan to pick somebody that has potential and figure out which one is going to be good, like a college coach or a good coordinator. But if not, if Bruce isn't back and we get a GM or something, I love a young, up-and-coming guy who's hungry, not a retread, somebody who, a good GM picks out and sees there's potential there, that could build a legacy here and already have one somewhere else. But that's all I got. Thanks, Lou.
Hey, no problem, Andrew. Thanks for blessing the program, man. You take care. And hey, look, I know it's tough, but you got to rear the young kid in the right way, man. He got to be a Redskins fan.
That's right, man. Yeah. I got to. All right. Take care.
Yeah, man. This is the thing. As long as Bruce is in the organization, even in I've heard people say this, and this is crazy talk. If you believe this, if you've coaxed yourself into believing this, then you're dead wrong. I've heard people say, just take the personnel decisions and the football decisions out of Bruce's hand and just leave him to the money side of things and leave him to the off the field things like the stadium and that kind of thing. Allow him to be the team president, but keep him away from the football decisions. Here's the problem. He still has the ear of Dan Snyder. So if he doesn't like something, if he thinks the head coach is getting too much credit, like Scott McCloughan was, even though McCloughan didn't really do shit for us. But remember, fans were giving McCloughan a lot of praise and a lot of the credit. He got jealous. That's not what Bruce, if he's here, he has the ear of Dan Snyder. And as long as he has Dan's ear, The situation is toxic and nothing can be gained here. He cannot be in this organization in any capacity if we are to succeed moving forward. He has to be gone. Period. End of discussion. Got a super chat. Want to go ahead and answer this. It's my man, John Saluter. Once again, John, thank you so much, man. Really appreciate the support. You don't know how much this means to me, man. He says, last one, I promise. No, don't stop donating money, okay? I want you to give out as many super chats as you possibly can. So you don't have to promise me this is your last one. Keep them coming. I really appreciate them. He says, last one, I promise. Do you think there's a chance of us seeing Alex Smith next year after seeing our quarterback carousel of Colt in case I'm missing Captain Checkdown? It is so funny, John, that you bring that up. Here's why. I kid you not. I am not just saying this because you brought this up. I literally had this same discussion with one of my best friends today. And he's a Raiders fan, so he has absolutely no idea what's going on in Washington. And he was asking me, he said, yo, what about Alex Smith? And I said, bruh, it's crazy that you asked me this because I saw Alex in the press box watching the game a couple of weeks ago. And matter of fact, it was this past week at the Patriots game. He was with his wife. And I heard someone say that he was at practice last week with no limp. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, could Alex possibly get back into the mix next year? I want no parts of it. And I told my buddy, I said, if you're smart, if the Redskins, and I don't expect them to be this smart, but I said, if you're smart as an organization, you don't even allow Alex Smith to remain in the building. You cut his ass off next season. Because one, you can't afford a $21 million backup quarterback. The reason it's advantageous to have a rookie quarterback or a quarterback on a rookie deal is because you're not paying the quarterback position a lot of money, so you're able to take that money and spend it elsewhere. And you're able to splurge at other positions to build a football team that once that quarterback has established himself and is ready for that big, massive deal, you've got a football team ready to win. You can't take advantage of that if Alex Smith is still eating up 13% of your cap space. So, one, you need Alex going from just that standpoint. Two, I don't want Alex complicating the quarterback situation. I don't want a capable backup quarterback breathing down Dwayne's neck. Even if Alex is ready to go or you're not sure, I don't even want that even in the equation. Get rid of his ass. I want somebody on this team that isn't a threat to Dwayne Haskins in any shape, way, or form next year. That's how I feel. I could be misguided and you could think vastly different about this. If Alex Smith wants the feel-good story of coming back and playing in this league again, it needs to be elsewhere. It cannot be here in Washington because you're stunting the growth of Dwayne Haskins and it's going to come at his expense. So, Alex Smith, and it's funny that I had this conversation. That's why I'm ready to talk about it. I told my friend, I said, there's no way in hell Alex Smith can ever again don the burgundy and gold. If he does, it's going to be a problem for Dwayne Haskins, and that situation can't end well. It can't. Just imagine if Alex was healthy enough to go in this nonsense right now. Alex would be the clear-cut starter. We wouldn't even be having this conversation, and who knows when Dwayne would ever get on the field. But we are where we are. Alex is a really good dude. He's been around the organization. He's been trying to help. I love it. But at the end of the season, we got to start being realistic. That cap number has to go. And we have to start cutting bait with the Josh Normans and the Vernon Davises and all of those guys. And we got to start this thing anew. And we got to start building with young, talented football players. And the occasional veteran that wants to come here and play that can help, like Landon Collins. But got to still be young. And Landon is fairly young. We need to bring those guys in if they want to come here, which has also been an issue. But once again, I thank you, John, for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Got a call. Let me go ahead and take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
JR from Bad News. What's up, Louis?
What's going on, JR, man? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
All right. What's good, man? Hey, I just come out here to ask one question, but you know what I'm saying? I just want to say I love what you're doing and everything.
Appreciate that.
You know what I'm saying? I don't watch Ed Oliver. I watch your show exclusively, you know what I'm saying? All the Redskins content, that's a must.
Hey.
I want to know, what is your plan? Like, if you was to be out for Dan Snyder, and what you is doing, what is your plan for the next 2 years? Who would you want on your roster? Like, would you still want Dwayne and all that stuff? Like, I just want to know that. Hail to the Redskins. I love everybody in the chat. Hey, hail to the Redskins all day.
Hey, likewise, bro. Definitely. HTTR all day, man, for life. For sure. Appreciate you. So let me first say, I have nothing against Ed Oliver. I want you to support all Redskins vid makers, okay? I don't know why there's this thing out here, this notion out here that it's either one or the other. You can do both. Why you can't do both? Like, I don't have anything against him. I hope he doesn't have anything against me. We're all Redskins family. We're all Redskins brothers. We all want the same thing. All right, so I hope you're watching and supporting this channel. I hope you're watching and supporting my channel. And Burgundy Fly Guy, when he does videos, he just put out another video, Redskins review. We all want the same thing, and that's this team to be successful. It doesn't have to be one or the other. So that's my thing. But to answer his question, if you just turned the reins over to me and say, hey, Louis, fix this team. First thing I'm doing is I'm trading Trent Williams. All right. Dwayne Haskins is getting in the game. Now, let's say this happens after the season's over. Okay. I'm trading Trent Williams. I'm seeing if anybody's interested in Ryan Kerrigan, seeing if I can get anything for him. I'm getting rid of Josh Norman. I'm getting rid of Vernon Davis. I'm figuring out where we are with Jordan Reed. I know a lot of you want Jordan Reed gone. If Jordan still wants to play football, I'm keeping Jordan Reed. He's a talented guy. I know that the injuries have been a concern, but I'm looking to draft a tight end, okay? I'm looking to either draft a tight end or I'm looking in free agency to see what's available to have another veteran option at a low cost that can come in and help, but I'm looking to draft a young guy, okay? That's something that, whether Jordan is back or not, we need to explore moving forward. Dwayne's going to be the guy, so I'm not even contemplating spending my number 1 overall pick or my number 3 overall pick or my number 5 overall pick on a quarterback. I'm looking to either multiply my picks by trading back and getting more assets, or I'm looking to draft the best player available at a position of need for this football team. And so these are things that I would look to do. It's not rocket science. You know, Bruce would be the first order of business. He's got to get the hell out of here. He's got to go. That's the first thing. If he's not already gone when I get the opportunity, that's the first thing that has to happen. All right? And then you go from there. But it's not a quick fix turning this organization around. It's brick by brick, piece by piece, but there's certain things that will send the Redskins in the right direction that they just refuse to do or they're too blind to do. So those are just things that I would entertain if I were put in a position of power. But got a call coming in. Going to take it. You're on live with your man, Louis T. Who am I speaking with?
You're speaking with Lowe.
Hey, what's up, Lo? Welcome to the Redskins Nightly News.
What's up, Louis? Big fan, man. Big fan. Been
Appreciate
watching you for a while, man.
Appreciate
it.
And
I'll be honest, man. I'm disappointed being a longtime Redskins fan. You know, just watching everybody and seeing how everything's turned out. And, you know, I'm ready to see what Bill Callahan has ready for the future, if he is the future head coach after this. Maybe it'd be Kevin O'Connell. I don't know, as they say. But I have a question, and maybe you can help me out because I've been thinking about it.
Okay.
And my question is, if the Redskins were successful, let's say they had a coach like Belichick and a quarterback like Tom Brady, and they were doing good, and they had all the right pieces in the right order, do you really believe the NFL will let the Redskins get to the Super Bowl? That's my big question, because it's like, after seeing all these penalties, I mean, I'm not gonna blame what's going on, you know, with our you know, doing bad with the, you know, penalties and, you know, the refs and all that. But I always sense that it was always something against us, you know. Maybe it's the name, maybe it's the owner, I don't know, but I feel like besides us being the worst and not playing good, I believe that, you know, there's only a penalty or two away that changes the game plan. And, you know, it might be for the worst. So I'll be paying attention. I'll be listening to Morgan Moses when he talks about how other teams do the same thing we do, but they don't get called.
Yep.
And it just is absurd how, you know, the offensive line gets all these penalties for holding. Because, you know, in every game, everybody holds.
Right.
And it's up to the refs to decide what they want to call.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So my little intake on it. What do you think?
Hey, I appreciate the call, man. I'm going to go ahead and answer that right now. Take care, man.
All right.
So, all right. So that's going to be the last call of the night. So here's how I feel about that. And I think this is a perfect way to end this. If the Redskins had Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, so first of all, let me start by saying this. The league wants the Redskins to be good, okay? This narrative that the league is out to get the Redskins doesn't make any sense. The league wants the Redskins to be good. It is very advantageous for one of the teams in one of the biggest markets in all of the National Football League to be good. The Redskins not being good is not good for business in the NFL. All right, they want to see teams in LA, they want to see teams in Chicago, they want to see teams in New York and Washington and the nation's capital be good. The league is at its best when the teams in the NFC East are good. All right, when the Cowboys are good, when the Eagles are good, when the Giants are good, when the Redskins are good, it's good for business. Why? Those are major media markets. All right, those get eyeballs, those attract different outlets, whether you're talking about sponsors or you're talking about advertisers. When teams like that are good, it's good for business, all right? I'm not shitting on the Tennessee Titans, but the league doesn't care if the Titans are good, right? It's nice if the Titans are good. It's a cute story. No, but I can tell you this. They're cringing if the Super Bowl is the Titans versus the Cardinals. They're shitting their pants, all right? They want the Super Bowl to be the they want the Super Bowl to be the Chicago Bears and the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, they want the Super Bowl to be the Washington Redskins and the New York Jets, okay, or the Raiders, or one of these organizations that are in a major media market. All right, so they want the Redskins to be good. So contrary to popular belief, they want the Redskins to be good. It's not good for business for the Redskins to be bad, which is part of the reason the NFL recommended Brian Lafemina to Daniel Snyder, all right, to try to come in and change the way that this organization was viewed and the perception of this organization. It did not work. They did not like all of their skeletons being pulled out of the closet and exposed to everyone to see. They did not like that. But that's how Brian Lafemina saw that they needed to be more transparent. But I'm going off on a tangent. Bottom line is, I don't think the league is out to get us. Yes, there are calls that go against the Redskins that I think are bullshit. That I see. We talked about the Cowboys game in week 2, where there were blatant holes and blocks in the back and things that impacted the outcome of the game. That big Dak Prescott run, I stopped it. I took a picture. I highlighted. You can't tell me that's not a block in the back on one of their receivers. I want to say it was Randall Cobb. On the touchdown pass right before the halftime, there was a obvious holding penalty on Tyron Smith. You can't tell me that they didn't see that. That's egregious. If that was us, they would have called it. Yeah, those things happen. I don't think that they're necessarily out to get us. Here's the thing. I think that when you're a team that is as heavily penalized as the Redskins, when you make the amount of mistakes that we've made, you become an easy target. And these officials, just like the players and the coaches prepare for games, these officials, they prepare for games. They go into the game knowing that the Redskins are averaging 12 penalties a game and 7 holding penalties, and that Morgan Moses does his kick step a fraction of a second before the snap every damn third down when he knows it's an obvious passing situation. They know these things. So guess what? They're looking for them before the game starts. They're looking for Morgan Moses to get his hands outside of the shoulder pads. They're looking for Morgan Moses to kick step out of his stance a split second too soon before the ball snap. They're looking for these things because they've watched film just like we're watching film to prepare for the game. They're prepared for the game, and we make these same mistakes every week. Some of them are holding, some of them aren't. Officials make the same mistakes. I saw a call, I can't remember what game. Matter of fact, it was our game against the Patriots where the Patriot defender literally fell into the guy that was being blocked. And he fell down, and because he fell down, the official just saw a Patriot guy going to the ground with a Redskins player having contact with him, and he threw the flag. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Literally, the guy on the outside got pushed down, pancaked into the guy inside that was rushing. He falls down, and now it's holding. You got to be kidding me. But these things happen, all right? I've watched team after team, not just the Redskins, get obliterated by penalty flags. And so it's a league-wide phenomenon. It's not just the Redskins. The league isn't out to get the Redskins. We're just not good. And we keep making the same mistakes. I guarantee you this. I can't say a lot about Bill Callahan. I can't tell you that this team's going to improve drastically or this team's going to run the football effectively now that he's the coach. I can tell you this much. I think you're going to see a much more prepared team. And I think you're going to see a much more disciplined team. I think you're going to see the penalties gradually. I'm not saying we're going to go from 15 penalties down to 5. But I think you're going to see a decline in the amount of penalties that the Redskins sustain on a weekly basis as this season progresses with Bill Callahan as head coach. Now, I don't know if he's going to get a fair shot to be the head coach. I guess it all depends on how the Redskins do moving forward. As I mentioned earlier, if the Redskins go 8-3 the remainder of the season, a la Marty Schottenheimer in 2001, and they turn this thing around and finish 8-8, maybe Bill Callahan does deserve an opportunity to be this team's head coach moving forward. But I don't really see that happening, and I don't know where their thought process is right now, but I do think you're going to see a much more disciplined team moving forward. And so, with that being said, I thank you guys for joining me. This was a very, very therapeutic and fun edition of the Redskins Nightly News. Tomorrow we'll go back to the original regular format where we'll start to look at the Dolphins game. Well, not start to. We'll assess the Dolphins game, what needs to happen to get a victory, and that sort of thing. But I thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the Louis T Network if you haven't already done so. And also, we're Skins fans, and we got skin in the game. Why? Because we're Skins fans for life. I'm your man, Louis T, signing off. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Take care. This has been the Redskins Nightly News.
Louis T Network.